This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Brews and banter. Hi, Frank.
Hey, Roman. How are you?
And hello, Anthony.
Hello.
Welcome to our studio for the first time. You had us on your show, and we're excited to have you on. You want to just let people know about yourself a little bit, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, so I'm Anthony Tringale. I own Eat Local New York. That does a lot of different stuff. Can I cuss on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And in fact, you must.
Yeah.
Eat Local does a lot of different shit. And mainly I drive around the state and check out local restaurants and eat food and film myself doing it.
And obviously New York State only.
Only in New York State, yes. Yeah.
There's so much to cover.
That is a lot to cover, for sure. I felt like I was doing a really good job of covering a majority of the state, and then you start to think of like all these small towns in the southern tier and up north, and there's some comments that are like, "You dumbass, why haven't you been up to my 50-person?"
Everybody wants you over. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have people saying that to us. Why didn't you come to our brewery? No one knows fucking getting,
Yeah, you dipshits. You weren't at our brewery.
But yeah, so we were on your show. It was June, I think, right?
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I think you were one of the first, if not the first, in the new space, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you were just been there. I don't know how long you'd been there, but yeah. So even from that point, you've grown quite a bit, and I guess that's the way it happens exponentially, I suppose. Once you get more people, then more people follow you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been weird. I don't know really. I don't know what that shift was. There was some shift over this past year, or maybe like towards the end of last year, where like two state fairs ago, some people would come up and be like, "You're the guy from TikTok." This year at the fair, it was like all the fucking time people were coming up and we follow you, and everything from like 12-year-old kids asking to take a picture with me, and to like 70-year-olds. Mm-hmm. Both age groups mentioning TikTok also, which is interesting.
Interesting.
And the 70-year-olds are like, "You're the TikTok guy." I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, that is weird.
But so it just I don't really remember. I don't think there wasn't like one piece of content that was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
But yeah. A lot more in Rochester, too, than in Syracuse.
But it could be indicative of people just looking for some alternatives. And, we talked a little bit off camera here about some of the business environment for some of these restaurants. So maybe people are looking for something that they're not sort of always visiting. Whether it's from Syracuse, you're going to Rochester coming here, whatever the case may be. You're probably out in Buffalo as well.
I try to get out to Buffalo. I'll probably be out there more often this year than I have in the past. Just because I just picked up a client who has a restaurant out in Rochester or in Buffalo. Actually, he's Rochester and Buffalo. But so I'll probably be out in Buffalo a little bit more often this year than I was last. The amount of people that follow me, I think, in Rochester is probably the biggest, which is surprising. Like, I've been creating content in Syracuse for the last 10 years and Rochester for the last 2. But Rochester, oddly, doesn't have any other big influencers. They're not big in size, but big in following.
I know Buffalo does a few people that we've talked to,
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
But like one of their bigger ones, like Maddie, who had Buffalo Food Slut, she just moved to Brooklyn. So,
okay.
So Eat Local New York started 10 years ago?
I started the sort of like parent company, the social media management company 10 years ago. I moved back to Syracuse from living near Austin. And I was working at Metro Mattress, the sleep superstore, and the sleep superstore, the one and only.
The only one.
Yeah. I was working there and enjoyed it. You work like 8 to 10 hours a day, and you really only work for like 1 to 2 when you're selling somebody a mattress.
Yeah.
And you make good money. So the rest of the time you're just sitting there waiting for the door to open. And anyways, a friend of mine and I were working together in a store one day, and I was like, we should start a side hustle. Like, we're just sitting here. We could do something on the internet. So we started a social media management business. It sounds like a lot more glamorous than it was. It was just like, hey, all right, let's do it. Our first client was a debt collection company, which was awful. And I think it was called Firms. It was called Firms was the name of the debt, which is a terrible name for.
That's a great name for like breast implants. Not debt implants, but breast implants.
I can't say that I've ever felt a fake breast. So are they firmer? Is that what it is?
So a friend told me.
Okay. Actually, if you want to hear a funny story, I had a client. I won't name. Well, I won't name them. They had a grand opening for a second location in this like late spring, like right after I started with them. I'm up there an hour or two before they opened for the day. The bartender that they had just hired, it was her first day of like back to normal life from having a like a breast job. And she was going around the bar to the other 6 employees and myself in there, asking everyone if they wanted to feel them.
She was proud.
So this is research at this point. You gotta get, she's got to give feedback. You got to help her.
Research purposes only.
It helped. She wasn't attractive, so I was like, that was an easy no. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah. You didn't like her mustache.
So I don't know how we got from for all firms. That was a pretty big jump.
It's going to go all over the place. It'll
the
fucking
name of a debt collection company to breast.
That's their fault.
Just a tip of the iceberg there. Tip of something.
So we started with that. A couple of months into that, he wanted to leave, and we weren't really doing anything. He wanted to leave, so I bought him a MacBook Pro to get him out of the business. It's like, here's your payment. You're no buyout partner.
That's funny.
And I just laughed. Like he had a nicer computer than the company did for a couple of months. I got my first like big-ish client was the Market Diner, who I'm still with today. And Tony put a lot of trust in me. Like at the time, social media management was weird, especially in Syracuse. There was like either like soccer moms doing it or like SEO companies based in like Austin. And he had been hiring this SEO company to do it in Austin. And the content that they were making was like, they would write a blog about proper fine dining etiquette that would be hosted on their website. And then they would create a picture of like a butler holding a silver tray and post it. They would post it as the Market Diner on like, hey, here's proper fine dining etiquette. And it's like, what the fuck does that have to do with like a greasy spoon diner in Syracuse? Yeah. But that's the content that restaurants were posting at the time. When I started, we were the first restaurant to run a Facebook ad. We were the first local restaurant to join Grubhub or DoorDash in Syracuse. One of the first to start posting like semi-attractive pictures of food on Facebook, like on a daily basis. And so that's how I first started. 2 years into doing that, I met a restaurant owner who never should have opened a restaurant, like the majority of them. And, I kind of phrase it like she fell for the lie that you should follow your dreams. Yeah. And she had a great job at a bank, working as like a assistant branch manager or something, good income, stable, everything was fine, but she loved to cook. And her friends and family were like, you should open a restaurant. You would crush it.
Oh, because those are the people you got to listen to.
They're not friends and family anymore. Yeah, that's a side hustle like you start, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she did make good food, but she fell for it. She listened to him. She quit her job, mortgaged her house, took out loans, opened up a restaurant, had no idea what to do in the restaurant industry except for make that one thing. Opened up her spot in like the worst location for a restaurant. Terrible name, terrible market, terrible everything. Didn't know how to buy food, didn't know how to sell food, didn't know how to price food, didn't know all that kind of stuff. So a friend of a friend said, hey, she's struggling. Go see if you can help her. I went and met with her, gave her a bunch of advice. It was just like kind of too little too late. She was out of business like 6 weeks after that meeting. But I left that meeting. I was like, man, I wish I had an Instagram account where I could post right now and get 50 people to show up at a restaurant. And so that night I started Eat Local New York.
Well, that happened, I think with us when there was that, brick through the door at Buried Acorn.
Oh yeah.
You posted something, we saw it, and I mean, it was more than just us, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
You post it, people go there and support them, and
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, and
I got him the guy to replace the glass.
Oh really? That's hilarious.
but yeah, like you said, open a restaurant. Like there's more than. I mean, I'm sure she's a great cook.
Yeah.
But there's just all the business aspect of it. It's just it's ridiculous.
It's unfortunate. You're good at that, but you need to know the rest of it.
Yes.
You need to know the business part of it, the marketing part of it. And
Right.
if you don't have you don't start off with the right team and you're trying to kind of run it solo, that's difficult.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the right team, or even just like the right, like the knowledge, the headspace, you know, like owning a restaurant is like one of the worst lives that you could choose for yourself. And maybe that's probably a pretty over the top exaggeration. It's a very tough life. It's not one of the worst.
yeah. Like being a logger's up there as well.
I mean, it's cop and then restaurant owner, really.
I have a friend who owned a pizza shop, and oftentimes he needed help, so I would go and help him out, deliveries or help in the kitchen. I put some hours in with Pizza Hut too.
Okay.
And so I worked at, like, you remember Ground Round?
Yeah, for
worked
sure.
at Ground Round. So
I like their little fucking wings. The ground wings.
Yeah.
the restaurant business is crazy. I remember just like having crazy dreams like about work.
Oh,
It's just constant like hustle.
Dude,
It's
it's
fast. And on top of that, to run it and knowing the business aspect of it, it's tough.
yeah, for sure. We had the ghost kitchen for like 2 years, and for the majority of that, I really wasn't up there too often. It was just kind of like running, and I was a partner in it, but I was really just like kind of doing.
It was a restaurant you owned?
Well, my friend Nick, who's one of the owners at Limp Lizard, they have the spot in North Syracuse, and then it's great location. But in the wintertime, that location just dies off. It's like popping in the summer and the springtime. In the wintertime, it just doesn't do that well. And so Nick was, Nick is, great entrepreneur, really knows. Nick is one of the smarter restaurant owners in Syracuse, knows how to make money, knows how to like build community, like backing for your brand and all that kind of stuff. So he does a great job. But yeah, in the wintertime, he was like, we could be doing more. I had experience with Ghost Kitchen, so he was like, why don't we do a Ghost Kitchen concept at North Syracuse? So, we spent some time thinking of a name and a concept. We came up with it. We launched it. It really wasn't a ghost kitchen. It was just like a restaurant within a restaurant.
What's a ghost kitchen?
A technical ghost kitchen would be take a warehouse, build out like 4 different kitchens inside of it, just kitchens, no customer facing anything. And you have 4 different concepts in there. Maybe you run all 4, or maybe you rent them out to different operators. And it's a restaurant that only exists for delivery through Grubhub, DoorDash, like all the apps. The only customers cannot show up to the physical location. It's just for drivers. Like you don't even do pickups out of it. That's technically a ghost kitchen.
And still has to go through like health inspections.
Still has to go through all that. Yeah.
Okay.
But marketing that's got to be a nightmare, right? Like how do people know how your food tastes, right?
It really is. There's a massive opportunity for that in bigger cities. They're huge in bigger cities. Syracuse, not so much. Syracuse is like, people here are like very skeptical of things.
That might be good for someone like that woman who went into restaurant business to try that out first to see, should I even do this?
Yeah.
Is my food demand, growing a demand or?
Yes. Right there is massive. Should I even do this?
Yeah.
Before I commit a couple $100,000 in my life to it. Yeah. Should I do this? I make those stupid decisions of like, should I do this before I do it? All the time. Should I have this next beer? Should I say this to my wife?
So the answer to the first question is always yes. I don't know what the wife's thinking.
But no, there are so many business owners who it's like, and I'm guilty of it all the fucking time. It's just like you get excited about something. You're always thinking like, what's the best case scenario? You don't really think of like, what's the worst case? And there is definitely a part of like entrepreneurship and being a small business owner where you have to be kind of ignorant to a lot of that, and just put those blinders on and just be like, I don't care, how, but I'm going to make it fucking work. Yeah. There's just so few people that really are able to do that, and I don't think it's for. I think it's like, I think that type of a lifestyle is actually probably detrimental. I don't think I don't think that we're meant to be like, fuck you, I'm going to do this and I'm going to sacrifice so many other things in order to do it. Like there shouldn't be that many people that can really like do that and just live some shitty life in order to do it.
Right. And you see some people in these large corporations that are doing that. I mean, you know, aside from what we're doing, we're just like, we're not even small business. We're like micro.
We're micro business.
We're like zygote business.
You know how people say, if you don't try it, you won't know, right?
For sure.
Well,
Or you're gonna regret it if you don't.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That concept needs to be taken cautiously because you can't just be like, okay, if I don't try flying a plane, then I won't know if. Well, you need to learn how to fly a plane, right? So it's like with the restaurant. It's like, if I don't try, I won't know. Well, maybe take a more cautious approach. Okay, try it, but maybe not go into debt.
Yeah.
Or try it or something with like a ghost kitchen.
Right.
Or like, you know, in your case, try fondling a donkey. See if you like it.
I tried.
See if you like it.
there was an iPhone. I don't know if it still exists. There was an iPhone game called like Flo's Diner, and the entire concept was like you're Flo, and you open a diner, and you have to constantly battle like cleaning the tables and seating the customers and cooking the food and delivering the food.
It was like a Nintendo game.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
I feel like if you want to open a restaurant, you have to like beat level 100. If you can do that and not lose your mind, then
Yeah, this is knocking out Tyson, right? Or fucking whatever that is. Mike Tyson knockout. But so you go through as a business model, aside from the social marketing piece, you go through. How do you pick who you're going to go, who you're going to visit? You contact them beforehand, let them know you're coming, stuff like this.
It's all over the place with that. I've got a list on my phone of like probably 500 restaurants across the state to get to one day, broken down by city. And a lot of them are just places like I'll stumble upon on social media and it's like, oh, that looks good. We'll add them to the list. A lot of it's recommendations, you know, like tonight on Instagram, we're doing like a Instagram story of like, send us your recommendation sort of a thing. So, and then a lot of and then another part is just like restaurant owners reaching out, you know? So they just go on the list and then, you know, as we find restaurants or restaurants reach out, they go to the bottom of the list and we work our way, you know, down. So, it could like today, for example, I was in Utica, filming content for a client. I had an hour in between that and when I had to get back to Syracuse. And there was this one restaurant that this dude just kept DMing me, telling me to get there. Every time I'm like, I say I'm in Utica, he's like, you need to go to this place. So I went there today and got lunch and a spot like today, like I just show up, I buy food. If I like it, I'll go back and make a video. Or if it's just like incredible and I'm not going to be back in the area, like I'll buy another thing and go in the parking lot and make a video sort of a thing. So I don't like, you know, distract the customers or whatever.
Saw some of your parking lot videos.
Yeah. So, you know, so like that's one way. Another way is I'll contact the restaurant ahead of time. Like on Thursday, I'll be in Saratoga. That's a little different because like their tourism board's paying me to do it. But like all those restaurants have been contacted ahead of schedule. We have the time down. They know what dishes they're making, you know, that sort of a thing. So sometimes I'll call the restaurant and just plan it that way. Sometimes they pay for it. And so like, you know, they get bumped up on the list. And
so, I mean, you're flexible in what you can do. But as far as Utica goes, that's some pretty unique stuff out there. They got some good food.
Yeah, they do.
You know, and it's a little different. I don't know what the term is. Not demographic, but like a little different atmosphere type of thing. It's like a lot of there's not a lot of chains out there, right?
No, there's not too many. I mean, you know, like where I was today, like you see a lot of like there's a McDonald's and like a Wendy's and an Arby's and like there's all that kind of shit.
But you're never going to go to those anyway, right?
I mean, not in post about it.
Yeah, right. right. Like riding a moped. Right?
My wife, we have this funny story of like one summer we were like out on the street and this like dude just went whizzing by on a moped on our street. And I was like looking at it, I was like, dude, that would be cool. And my wife was just like, you're not getting a
That's right.
You know,
But what about Vespa?
Yeah, no, I think she was saving me from the optics of my size of a person riding a moped.
Like Magilla Gorilla.
Like, it wasn't like, no, that's dangerous, or no, you're not spending the money. It was like, I'm saving you from being made fun of.
Yeah, you're gonna look ridiculous. That's funny.
Yeah, so sorry, we got a little bit off.
That's all right.
Off schedule there.
How's the feedback been from restaurants when they say they don't know much about the concept, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I want to hire this guy, promote my restaurant.
Yeah.
How's the feedback been like as far as their experience during the process and then the outcome?
Yeah, their experience and the outcome. I don't know what a lot of their expectations are of me coming in. I feel like I try to be, and I'm a little like intimidated by if they're expecting me to come in and save their restaurant, which I can't fucking control.
And is that sometimes an intent? They're calling you to save the restaurant.
I see. So they're like almost thinking like you're like bar rescue or something like this.
To some like weird extent.
I see.
I remember when I was a freshman in high school and I played baseball and at the small school in Kentucky right before we moved here to Syracuse. And it was a Christian school. There's 30 kids in like each class, right? Like each ninth grade had 30 kids, 10th grade had 30 kids, right? So there was just a varsity.
And they're all related.
Right.
Not in Kentucky.
Oh, maybe.
Northern Kentucky.
Pennsylvania. Sorry.
So like our baseball team was just a varsity team. And there are kids from like 7th grade to 12th grade that all played on the baseball team. So I was a freshman on the baseball team, and I was a pitcher or first baseman, and I was only ever put in as a pitcher. And the only times that they put me in were when our team sucked. I only got put into the game when we were about to get mercied. So I would go in and like the 5th inning, bases loaded, no outs. Best hitter coming up to the plate, Anthony, get in there.
One run, you guys are done after that, right?
But in my head, I'm getting up there, and I'm like, I can fucking stop him,
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay to have.
Yeah,
it's a good mindset. Yeah.
But I feel like that's sort of, in some cases, that's sort of how it is with some of the restaurants reaching out today. It's like, hey, listen, we're about to get mercied. We need some help. So, which is sort of, it can be pretty intimidating because like I can't control how people are going to react to the video that I post. I can't control how many views it gets. Like I can do my best to try and find an authentic way to get a lot of views for your video and to showcase your food in a way that it should be showcased. But I can't control how many people are going to watch it, how many people are going to go out of their way to go get it. I'm still shocked every time that I post, it's one thing in Rochester and Syracuse for me to post a video about a restaurant and say the food's good. And I'm like, okay, it's not too surprising if people show up from it. It still makes me feel, like $1 million every time I find out a lot of people showed up to the restaurant from it. But there is a place in Potsdam that I posted a video about. And like, I've been to Potsdam once. I've posted 3 videos from there. I posted a video on like a Friday night, and then the restaurant sent me a DM the next morning. They were like, dude, we were fucking busy last night. Like we sold, because I mentioned like their espresso martini. They're like, we've never made so many espresso martinis before.
Nice.
So, that's cool. Yeah. But it can be short-lived. Like there was a restaurant in Minden that, hired me. So the restaurant reaches out to us and is like, please come check out my food. I have them email somebody that works with me. And actually, if you guys want a little hot take for your podcast.
Yeah, sure.
So I have this guy, Travis, who helps me with like podcast producing sometimes. And Travis, he has a full-time job, but he wanted to help out. And so at one point, Travis was going to like help me reach out to restaurants and brands to try and get, like grow the business. So I had an email address for him. So I was like, all right, this is perfect. Like restaurants are going to contact me. I'm just going to have them email you facilitate all this kind of stuff. He was like, okay, cool. Well, that didn't last very long. So now when a restaurant reaches out, I'm like, hey, email Travis. He handles this for me, but I'm just responding.
But you are Travis.
So I'm like my secret secretary, Travis.
Eat local Travis.
Yeah. Because it just like gives me a little more confidence. Be like, you have to, I ask for money, So if a restaurant reaches out, they're like, come try my food. The first thing we do is like, we do, like Travis exists. I look at the food and look at their Instagram, their social pages, their website, make sure that it's like, it doesn't look like shit. And sometimes, a good amount of times it does. And we're just like, hey, we'll try to get there one day. Have a nice life.
Yeah. I feel honored. Our page doesn't look like shit. He showed up.
But we're not selling food.
No, we're not. But we invited him.
Food, yeah.
Unless you want, never mind.
Sorry.
So as long as it passes that test, then I say like email Travis, and then Travis responds and says, basically, if they email, then it works two ways. Like one, we'll put you on the list, and whatever city you're in. So like you're going to the bottom of the list to try and keep things fair. Because it's not all about just trying to get paid. It's like we're trying to like help restaurants.
I see. So you put them at the bottom because there's other people that have contacted you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And so you go to the bottom of the list. When you're next on the list, we'll either show up or we'll, reach out ahead of time and schedule something. And we'll come in, we'll make a video. If we like the food, we'll post the video.
Because you will not post if you don't like it.
No, I did that like very rarely I would do that, but just on TikTok because I feel like it's going to cause less damage on TikTok. Yeah. But over Christmas, I got a death threat from a restaurant owner from posting a negative video.
This year, like 2 months ago? Yeah.
So I was like, all right, fuck that. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we say like you'll be on the list. We'll stop out one day. We can't promise you when. It's not like I don't have a schedule of like every Tuesday I'm going to be in Rochester filming. So the other option is you can pay me and you'll get bumped to the top of the list. Like, it doesn't depend on like what size of a restaurant you are or how much money we feel like we can get from you. It's just based on time, like how much time is going to take me to drive out there. If you're in Rochester, well, that's at least 3 hours of driving, there and back. And it's going to take me at least an hour to film the video, and it's going to take me like 5 or 6 hours to edit.
Yeah,
those videos.
So it's a full day. Yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're in Buffalo or New York City, it's more. Because it's more travel. So we're like, this is the other option, which is different for influencers because like the world of influencers is typically an influencer would get paid based on either their following size or their average views on a video. And it's a penny per. Mm-hmm. So if I was in like Vegas or New York City, or if like a big brand reached out to me, Labatt, then, I've got 65,000 followers on Instagram. So they would pay $650-ish per post on my page.
I see.
That's how like the whole global world of influencing works. Mm-hmm. For people that pay, and so I just know that like, while that may or may not be fair, I think it's fair for the amount of work that goes into a video into these days. A small restaurant can't fucking afford that,
right?
So that's why I base it off of really like the time it's going to take me to get out there. So if somebody in Rochester reaches out, it's like $500 or $550. But I'm like, you'll get 2 to 3 videos. Yeah. I'll post 2. If one of them doesn't do well, I'll post a third. I want you to like get your money's worth. So yeah, that's just the way I.
But your price could probably go down a little bit if you have multiple people you're visiting when you're out there. No. I don't know. Well, I bring that up. Because I know in our where we are in Baldwinsville, you have a close group. And I think you actually talked about a text thread.
Yeah.
But everybody's pretty close here.
For sure.
And, I mean, I know it's close to you.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know if in Rochester or Buffalo or wherever it is, if there's a lot of people that are that close like you were seeing here.
Yeah. I mean, no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
There's some out there that are, but not to the level that Baldwinsville is. And Baldwinsville, there's still a tight-knit group. Maybe it's not as tight as it has been in the past, but it's still a tight-knit group. I've never seen a community of restaurant owners that work together the way they do in Beeville. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting.
Yeah, we had people who were on the president and chief operator.
Yeah, so Marianne and Matt from the Chamber of
Commerce, and they were here and they talked about how everybody really collaborates and helps each other out.
Yeah.
Like businesses.
Yeah.
And how Jeff is a big part of that.
Oh, yeah. Massive part.
Right.
Yeah. And like Jeff was helping out the girl with the ice cream shop, I think.
Right.
Okay.
Really, when we talk about and we say word community, it's like that's the representation of community.
Sure. Baldwinsville Dining Weeks, that's a 100% Jeff Rogers.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he and I, like this is the 6th year that it happened. I've been blessed to be able to do the social media and a little bit of the market, like the website for them for the past 6 years. Mm-hmm. But it's 100% Jeff coordinating and getting the companies to sponsor it to help with like the website and the Facebook ads and all that. If it wasn't for Jeff, like I don't know what would happen in the community in terms of just like these events, you know, that they put on. But it's amazing the amount of work that he does with how fucking busy he is. But then all the restaurants, it's like you don't really have a restaurant owner. It's like, hey, fuck you, Jeff, you're a competitor. They're all get along.
But and a 100% quality guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's a really decent guy.
Yeah, when we interviewed him, his mind is so busy. Like you can tell, like he's just thinking of so many things.
But he's like us. He's throwing some shit out there.
I had the pleasure of drinking with Jeff one night. I'm not sure it wasn't like to the extent that Jeff could, because I feel like if you wanted to party with Jeff, you could fucking.
I imagine, right?
But there was one night, Mary Tassone, who's another class act. Mary she had moved to Mississippi and then came back. I think she's back now, but when she first came back, I was out at Angry Smokehouse during the day, and Jeff was like, "Hey, Mary's coming in tonight to hang out. You should come back and hang out with us. I'm gonna call it quits at whatever time and like sit outside and have a beer by the fire." So I'm like,
a beer.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, sweet. So I come back at the time that he says, well, Mary was just standing up from the dinner table. She had gone there for dinner that night. It was like, Mary, you know, we say hi. I was like, all right, you ready to get a drink? She's like, well, I'm leaving. I just had dinner with my niece. It was like, Jeff said we were like hanging out tonight. And she was like, no, I can't do that. Well, 3 hours later, you know, and then Allison, who owned, you know, like BU, like her and her son came up. And like they're just walking in the neighborhood, and you know, and then some like like Jeff's contractor was, you know, it was a fun time.
Yeah, and that's part of the community here, really. I mean, we can only speak for that because that's where we are. I don't know if it's like that in Liverpool or North Syracuse. I don't know, but it's nice to have here, and it's beneficial to you. You know, I know sales. You deal with sales as well, and
yeah, you know, a lot of the places in Beeville, I honestly I might talk to, like if I see him at events, like you know, Jimmy at Pizza Man Pub, like I'll see him at Battle of the Wings, and you know, that's great. Actually, Jeff's Angry Garlic's going to be there this year, which is huge. Like they actually might win the People's Choice this year because like Jeff just has such a great following. But anyways, it's not like that in any other town in Syracuse. Yeah. Not even downtown Syracuse isn't like that.
Too competitive.
Downtown Syracuse used to be like that just before and after the pandemic, but it's not anymore. And I don't know if it's just because like some of the restaurant owners aren't there or what it is, but it's just not that way anymore. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Rome. Sorry,
you got something.
I love you. I love you.
Oh, thank you.
That's at 9.5. I peeked out of the corner of my eye. I was like 9.5.
Well, wait.
Doesn't even feel like that.
Wait till I want to share with you. Sorry, I know you're going to talk. I want to share with you our special Brews and Banter Dragon Juice.
Okay.
So that's next.
If it's made by Labatt, I'm
no. This is homemade.
Oh, great!
Not made by a hoe. It's homemade.
You want to do it now?
Yeah, go ahead and talk. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize.
Well, I wanted to. Before we started recording, you mentioned events coming up.
Yeah.
You guys doing? If you want to mention that before or maybe after we have a drink.
Yeah. You might not be able to mention it after the drink.
That's in a fucking thermos, bro.
Well,
we're not drinking.
I'll tell you what. I made we're going to talk about all this, but I made a five gallon igloo thing of this. Mm-hmm. We go 4-wheeling, and I made it's expensive because there's vodka in it, and then we're all drinking it. And, oh, this is great! And like fucking 2 hours later, everybody's just fucking wrecked. It's just gone. Like they drank the whole. There's like 12 of us. The whole thing was gone because you just can't tell. But go ahead. Sorry, you were gonna maybe.
No, I was just offering Anthony to mention the events that are coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've got we're doing Eat Local New York Restaurant Week this year. Mm-hmm. So
is that a first?
Yeah, first ever. It's actually, as far as I can tell, ChatGPT said it was, so it's got to be true. It's the first ever statewide restaurant week in New York, which is surprising to me if that's true. I've been putting it in quotation marks so I don't get sued on the post. And then we think it's the first statewide restaurant week, but. I haven't seen anything else out there. Anyways, it's April 28th and May 10th. Mm-hmm. So 2 weeks long. Oh, wow. We've got 60 restaurants signed up right now from Buffalo to Brooklyn, Syracuse, Rochester, Potsdam, Cortland, Kings Ferry, Dobbs Ferry, Fuck Ferry. I mean, all over the place. People are
Tooth Fairy.
Yeah,
Tooth Fairy. So, but how do people take advantage of this? Is this on your card?
No, so the card doesn't exist. I got rid of the card.
Okay.
It was just not making enough money and taking up way too much time. So the card, 2024 is the last year of the Eat Local card. This is something I've had the idea for like the last 2 years of like something across the state would be cool. And obviously like the experience of helping Baldwinsville with theirs is it's like there's not really too much behind it. You put on a promotion like this that people are, it's like, okay, I understand what that is. And restaurants get busy from it. Restaurants in Baldwinsville, like the dead of winter in January, are like, they're pulling in some like very busy numbers.
Sure.
Because of restaurant week. Same like it's happening in Syracuse right now as we're recording this, same down in Schenectady. So, communities do it, and dining week, restaurant weeks usually bring in a healthy amount of customers. We're doing ours. Restaurants can do whatever the hell they want. They can do a 2-course, a 3-course. A restaurant in Rochester just sent me an email today. Theirs is dinner for 2, and it's like $200. And which doesn't seem like a steal, but it's like a mini seafood tower as the appetizer and 2 tomahawk steaks. It's
I could do that. Yeah.
It's a ton of food.
Yeah.
It's for 2 people.
No, does it have to be? Could it be 200 for one? Challenge accepted.
I said 2 tomahawks. You're like, I can.
I only make the noise when I do it.
That's funny.
That, and then like coffee shops that are just doing like they might be doing like a croissant and a coffee for a discount, whatever the hell. But so we're putting that on. We haven't really done much advertising with it yet. It's all going to kick off like the first week of March. Trying to get some companies to sponsor it to help with some of the paid ads. But yeah.
And then you mentioned 80s dating filming.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to get Labatt to sponsor me.
Oh, okay.
I drink enough of their
Come on, Labatt, you can do it.
We can do it. We'll help you push you over the line.
Yeah, thank you. I was just like, people do that. I've seen people do that, like, day 54 of trying to get Sabrina Carpenter to go on a date with me, that kind of stuff. And so I was like, and towards the end of the year, it's like, I should do this with Labatt and just see if they'll sponsor me. I had a conversation with them last year about sponsoring some content, but I was asking for like $10,000 and they were like, we'll give you 2. And I said no, which is probably stupid. But anyways,
it was a stepping stone, right?
Yeah. So anyways, I was like, all right, let's just go after it and see what'll happen. Some people were like, this is stupid. You're just giving them a ton of free advertising. Why would they ever sponsor you? You're just going to continue to post about it. But my wife doesn't know what she's talking about. No, I'm just kidding. My wife didn't say that to me. So honestly, I've been doing this and I've kind of been waiting for like a local brewery in New York to be like, hey, we'll do it.
Yeah. Hey, we're in the same boat, buddy.
Yeah. Right. And so I posted, I think last week or the week before, I wrote like an open letter to Labatt and posted it in my Instagram stories. I can't imagine anybody from Labatt's going to listen to this. I was like, I was sitting at Tully's waiting for my wife and my son to show up for dinner. I had just downed a tall draft of Labatt waiting for them. And so I was like, you know what I'm going to fucking do? I'm going to have to post an open letter. I went on ChatGPT on my cell phone. I was like, this is what I need. Had this letter, posted on Instagram, got a shit ton of views. And so many DMs of people like, you're going to do it one day, But then I got like the email of 2 executives at Labatt. People were like, all right, fine. Here's their email address. We can't take it anymore.
We can't take it anymore.
We got mercied again.
So I emailed the people. I haven't heard anything back yet, but they'd email them. So
Tully's will love that, by the way.
Yeah.
Tully's good food.
Yeah.
The tenders for sure. That's what I eat.
And I got to say, their drafts.
Yeah. Do they have their own beer, right?
I think they have their own beer, but they contract with like local breweries.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Willow Rock makes the IPA.
Okay.
Or they did it one time.
Yeah.
But just like, like people say McDonald's has the best Coca-Cola, like Fountain Coke. I think Tully's might have the best draft beer. It's just like super crisp and super cold.
Yeah. The cold is really important.
Yeah.
I've noticed I haven't been there in a while, but last time I went there was a few months ago. But I went to Copper Top, and I noticed how many local brewers they're having on tap. I'm like, that's interesting because it wasn't like that before.
Yeah.
So I think whoever is working with them, or maybe there's a new person marketing or trying to like help them grow.
Yeah, that's cool.
Is reaching out to all these local, and that's nice. I like seeing that.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy like big chain restaurants.
Sometimes you just kind of have to, right? Like we try to avoid it as well.
Yeah, you go. I mean, they do have good food. You want to sometimes try it out. But sometimes when you go to these bigger restaurants locally, like Upper Top, and to see that support of local businesses like brewers, that's really nice to see because the variety is now better.
Sure.
Would you bring up Copper Top because it's owned by the same family as Tully's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
did you know that?
I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that's why you brought it up.
I didn't know that, but I remember seeing how much stuff they have on draft at Tully's, but I remember Copper Top did not have that before, but now they do.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they're doing, trying to.
We need to have more dragon juice.
All right, let's do the dragon.
You want a new glass? You care?
No, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't think Dragon Juice cares.
No, dragon juice doesn't give a fuck.
Dragon juice
will
burn out whatever it is.
It's like you peeing.
The table is steaming from
That's right. You're gonna burn a hole through that.
This vodka and you're pouring me this much?
This is all. This is all I had. Like I this is not what I would have chosen to put this in.
I think it chose you.
In all seriousness, I can say fuck both of you.
He said, "It's vodka, and you pour me this much."
I mean, that's a lot.
No, there's vodka in it.
Oh, okay.
The fuck, man?
So grapefruit?
No,
There's grapefruit in here.
there's not grapefruit.
Yes, there is.
I'll tell you what.
There's great. You can't tell.
No, I'm going to tell you. You sponsor us, I'll tell you what it is. No, 100% there's no grapefruit.
Are you serious? What the hell is that?
100%.
You ever been at Disney?
No.
Oh, well, this is like this Jamba Juice they have.
Okay.
Grab a napkin. They have this fucking morning juice. It's fucking great.
Huh.
You like it? Do you have some?
I didn't try it yet.
Oh, no, it's fucking good, man.
There's no grapefruit in this.
100% no grapefruit.
What is that bitter citrus then?
I will tell you off air, but we keep this a secret from our viewers and listeners.
Secret recipe.
All right, here's your clip.
all six
I'm
of
going to
them.
try dragon juice for the first time.
It's pretty fucking good, man.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't really taste any alcohol, hardly.
Well, it's there.
I know. Those are the worst ones.
And I'll tell you the vodka it is. It's Rise from Lock One.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're big friends.
And
Big fans of Lock One.
Yeah.
Yeah, did they win an award for that vodka?
They've won all kinds of awards for everything. Like they got all this whiskey and everything. Like I'm not a big whiskey drinker.
Yeah.
Are you?
I've got that massive selection at the studio, and I can't tell you the last time I had.
Yeah. It's tough for me. I mean, but I wish I could.
You enjoy cigars?
I don't.
No.
Only because I used to smoke cigarettes. Like I used to smoke like a pack a day, and there's just something about a cigar. I want to make a dick joke so bad, but I'm already laughing thinking about it.
You've never had something that small in your mouth before?
So stubby.
All right, I'm gonna have to recover.
This is gonna get you sponsorship right here.
All it took is a sip.
This is fucking good, man. I'll tell you one thing that's in it. Passion fruit.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
It's amazing how
There's 3 juices in here in the vodka.
yeah, okay. It's amazing how bitter it smells to me.
Yeah.
Like it smells like grapefruit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't taste like grapefruit.
No, it's fucking good, and I make this stuff, and like I said, I made, and everybody's doing the same thing. They're drinking because you can't taste the vodka.
Yeah.
But that 5-gallon thing had 2.5 bottles of vodka in it, and they're just well, we're gonna go riding, and then it just didn't fucking happen.
That's pretty funny. No, cigars, I just want to inhale. Because, from smoking cigarettes.
It took me a little bit. I used to smoke cigarettes too.
Okay.
And smoked a lot. And then, so I quit cold turkey, went through withdrawal, sweats, and all that shit.
How long? A couple days?
Almost a month.
Really that long? Wow.
Yeah.
Just from quitting?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just stopped.
Yeah. That's how I quit too. I mean, I had 1 or 2, for a couple, randomly, but,
No, I bought a brand new pack. And then my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now,
Sure. I will go with that.
was coming to me, and she hated the smell. And I'm like, I do so much work trying to smoke a cigarette and hide the smell. Like it's just too much work.
Yeah.
And I put that cigarette back and I threw it in the trash can. And then I go in. I worked as a manager at the hotel right next door to Paul Revere's house in Boston.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm like, no, my dumbass is going to go pull it out of the garbage can. So I went back and I broke it in half and then throw it away.
It's hilarious.
Should have flushed it.
And then I said, okay, that's it. I will not touch another cigarette.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Yeah. I do that with donuts. I throw them in the trash. I'm like, I'm going to go back.
Yeah. So you go back and stomp on it?
We do it with donuts. We play ring toss with Roman's pecker.
Oh, yeah. It's too small for that.
It does a little swirl. Like,
Is that just you two in this room?
well, yeah. Wherever
This
we are.
room's too small.
No, I mean, same thing. Like when I was dating with my wife, she hated the fact that I smoked. And so I quit cold turkey like a couple months into us dating. And then I got pneumonia and was in the hospital from it. So.
Oh, fuck.
You got pneumonia from quitting smoking?
Yeah.
Well, I never heard of that.
Apparently sometimes that can happen,
I would lay in bed and just sweat and then like throw up. And
I didn't have any of that. I mean, after I was like out of the hospital with pneumonia, there was like maybe a couple months later, I would like bum a cigarette like once in a while. But for the most part, that was pretty much it. I switched to a pipe for a little bit and I enjoyed that. But yeah, but even that I would inhale.
so I didn't touch cigarettes for a long time. And then I tried cigars and I enjoyed cigars.
Yeah.
And never did that inhaling.
Okay.
I've inhaled cigar once back when I smoked cigarettes because I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I didn't touch cigars for a while. Then I stopped smoking cigarettes. And now I enjoy a cigar once in a while with a nice drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I was going, like with a whiskey maybe.
Yeah.
There is a cigar. I wish there were more cigar like lounges, maybe do some kind of collaboration with local restaurants or liquor stores to supply like, whiskey or brandy or whatever. And so I've been trying cigars with whiskey. And then I think when we started the podcast, I'm like, well, why always whiskey or brandy, bourbon? Why not? What kind of a beer can I pair with a cigar?
Okay.
So I've been pairing cigars with beers.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's been fun, interesting adventure.
Yeah, for sure.
But so I cannot talk about this. You recently had pizza with Governor Hochul.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It was fun.
And how did that even happen? Like, how did you guys?
I'll be honest. I mean, we're fine talking about this, but there's a lot of discord with Governor Hochul like today now.
Oh yeah.
You know the whole thing with the prison guards.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we'll talk about it later. But go ahead.
Well, I'm curious more about
Yeah.
how did you guys connect?
Back at during the state fair this past year, like leading up to it, I was just thinking like, the governor shows up usually on the first day, right? That's Governor's Day. Mm-hmm. Maybe I could reach out to somebody in her office and see if she would come do like one of my food videos with me. And so I was just like incessantly DMing their Instagram account, emailing like the typical like whatever, info at governor's office. And actually turned out that wasn't even the right email address.
The governor from Alabama was like, "What the fuck?"
I was wondering why it was Alabama.gov. So I was like asking Mike Green, who owns Harvey's Garden. I was like, I work for him and handle all the marketing for Harvey's. And so I was asking him like, hey, he's a Democrat. He has to know all the other Democrats. I was like, do you know anybody in the governor's office? And he did. And so I was trying to communicate. It just, nothing was lining up. And then finally, like the governor wasn't even there on day one for Governor's Day. She wound up coming like later on in the second week of the fair. But I was talking to somebody in her office, and at first they were like, well, if you're just there, like the governor's going to be there at this booth at this time. If you're there and you have your microphone ready, you might be able to ask her some questions. I'm like, that's not how this works. Like I'm doing a food video. I'm not interviewing her. I don't give a shit.
You're not a journalist.
Right. Yeah. So they were like, oh, okay. Well, if you're there, there might be some time. There might be a few minutes. She's not going to eat on camera, but you might be able to get her to do something. And I was like, okay, whatever. So that was like, I don't know what let's say that was Wednesday. our son was sick and home from daycare that week. And my wife, who works for the state, was starting this like advanced, like some training class that she had to go through in order to like get a promotion. Right. So, that next day was like one of her classes that like she couldn't miss. And so it was like, all right, I might have a chance to go get the governor on camera, which would be huge and maybe open doors down the road. Or if you miss your training, like you won't be able to, like, you can't just miss a day. So I stayed home with our son that day. It was funny because like I got a call from like the governor's assistant at like noon and then a text like, where are you? And I just didn't respond to it. Because I didn't want to be like, hey, I just spent 3 weeks like bothering you guys to try and get this interview. And then, oh, sorry, my son's sick, you know? Yeah. So anyway, so I just never heard anything because I was like, it wasn't like a planned thing. If I had an appointment, if it was like, hey, all right, she's gonna do it at noon,
right? You'd work around it, yeah.
Right. But if it was like, be there, it might happen. So, anyways, the Saturday before I did the interview with the governor, I did it on a Wednesday again, and that Saturday before, I got an email from somebody in the governor's office and who I'd never met or talked to before, and they just said the governor's going to be in Syracuse on Wednesday. She's going to be at Varsity Pizza. Do you want to have her on the podcast and chat? And you can record it in Varsity. She used to work there when she was in college.
Oh, I didn't know she went to Syracuse.
Yeah, she did her undergrad at SU. She had this really cool story in the podcast. I'm sure you guys have listened to it a few times.
Yeah, no, like more than that.
She was a.
I didn't know that.
Her job at the Varsity was the call girl, essentially. So, like, she sat on the mic when your order was ready, table 47, your pizza's ready. So, that was her job at the Varsity. And the night of the Miracle on Ice game, she had, they didn't have TVs there.
Was it 1980?
Something, something like that, yeah. So she had a radio in one hand, listening to the play-by-play on the radio, and then the microphone calling out the play-by-play of what was happening in the game to a packed Varsity.
Nice.
Yeah. So
creative.
So yeah.
So now you got like a cool meter, like she's up there now.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens after this thing.
But then she told me no.
She told you you were dragon juice. That's what she told you.
She told me I had to be trans to continue the interview.
That's your cutoff time.
No, so I mean, they gave me 30 minutes. They gave me 30 minutes with her to sit and chat. It was a cool experience. It was like I was a little nervous. I wasn't sure what to really talk with her about. Do I want to try and talk to her about policy? Like they brought up, they were like, well, she's proposing 2 things today while she's in town. And it'd be great if you could talk to her about those. One of them is free community college, tuition for people, I forget what age group, from like 25 to 55 or something, who are going to get a degree or an associate's degree in like engineering or healthcare or something, or like computer science,
wherever they need help. So now it's going to be that for prison guards.
Oh, really?
No, I'm saying it's going to target an industry that they need help in.
Yeah. If you want to be a prison guard,
Right.
So anyway, so I was like, all right, I can mention that, but like, what the fuck do I care? So like, what am I gonna like? I'm not gonna have a educated conversation with her about that. Like, I don't know enough about New York State politics or finances. Like, I know the headlines, but my view on politics is like, you vote for who you vote for, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, we don't know what's really happening. Like, I'm very skeptical on this shit. Like, who's really
it's all corrupt, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're not in these people's heads. We don't know how they're thinking, how they're processing. Like, I voted for Trump. But he's also made decisions in like his first term, like, as my brother is an FBI agent, who like is harming my brother's like safety because like, they're revealing shit, so it's like, I don't agree with that stuff, but I also don't know what's happening in his head. I don't know what type of a human being he is, like all that. So, and I think about that even with the governor. It's like, I could disagree with 1,000 things that the governor has done and I didn't vote for her. But at the end of the day, I have no idea what type of a person she is. And like, I kind of take the, which a lot of like white male podcasters also, they take their cue cards from Joe Rogan. But when Rogan had like Bernie Sanders on, like leading in, they were like socialist pig, right? At the end of that Bernie Sanders podcast, it was like, oh, I could 1,000% vote for him.
Yeah.
I told somebody that recently. I said, yeah, Joe Rogan had Bernie Sanders. And my friend was like, really?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I don't think people understand
Right.
the concept. And
No,
when
not
you,
at all.
I was going to say, when you're set a limit of time to be with someone who is a political figure or famous actor, whatever, right? Do you really want to talk about that kind of shit? Like,
No.
I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about your movies or your singing career.
Yeah.
I just want to hang out with you.
Right.
Right? Like, that's like the kind of concept I would look for if I had an opportunity to, even if I had 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd be like, with her, like, tell me about your experience when you grew up here in Syracuse.
Right.
Like, let's have pizza. Let's talk
Well,
about this
with
guy.
Eat Local New York, he's going. Are you gonna try my sausage?
Yeah. That's exactly what I asked her. No, we were trying to figure out like, all right, well, what are the, like in my head, I'm thinking like the podcast doesn't really, I mean, it's cool, don't get me wrong. And I think down the road, it's going to open doors for like other politicians or other people who are like, all right, the governor's office trusted him with her. So like maybe, we'll have this person on. So, which is my hope. And, but I'm like, all right, well, what are the clips? Like, what can I talk to her about that's going to be clip worthy to try and get views on social? And I wanted to play one game that we play in like the Mayo and Fry Bread podcast, which is Guess That Dish. So I wanted to play that game with her. And part of her staff were like, yeah, do that. That's amazing. And then I was like, all right, we'll do chicken riggies. Like, go ahead and like, they're like, we're going to like, can you tell us what it is ahead of time so she doesn't look like an idiot on, if she's like, So we were like chicken riggies. And then another staffer came up like right before, they're like, you're not playing the game. I was like, okay. So I was like, all right, well, we'll talk to her about this. I'm used to like, there's some local politicians I've talked to before. Like, I think it may have been Mayor Walsh, maybe not. Or I asked him a question about like, what's your favorite place to go to? He was like, well, I don't have a favorite. And so in my head, I walked into it thinking that how much more so is the governor going to be like that? And so I asked her the incredibly piercing question, hey, what are your favorite pizza toppings? 'Cause I didn't want to ask her like
riveting.
I didn't want her to give me like well, I can't tell you what my favorite pizzeria is.
Right.
But then she was like, my favorite pizzerias are blah 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 blah.
Okay.
The only funny part about that is like the one she mentioned in New York City, I can't find that exists. And the one in Buffalo, one of the ones in Buffalo she mentioned went out of business like 4 years ago.
So it's what she remembers she tried.
For sure.
Yeah,
I mean, she's busy, I can't like hold it again. I just thought that
As a child, that's what she liked.
Yeah. But it was just like if I had had more time, I would have probably pressed her more on what it was like. I mean, at the end of the day, whether like I don't like her politics, but she's still the first female to hold the office. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She grew up in an era where like women weren't allowed to be in, they still had to like get the approval of their husband or their father to like open a bank account, right? Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how recent that was.
I know. And she worked her way up from like SU to law school to then slowly like, whatever the fuck, I forget the name of the position, but like low level Buffalo government all the way up to governor of the state. Mm-hmm. And so that's impressive. And so, like, how did you grow up? Like, what did your mother and your father and your family instill in you to like help you get to that, like shaped who you are today and how you make decisions? We talked a little bit about that, but like not enough. Mm-hmm. So
you were limited on time.
Yeah. Like, and I stretched the time, like her
half hour is not a lot of time.
No.
Yeah.
But it's like the governor, like, not many people get that much time with the governor to like do that.
And we do the same. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care if you're gay or straight or whatever it is. Like and I think we agree on this. Our issue is when people get mad or upset at you for disagreeing or questioning. Like, I don't get mad at that. Like,
I want to say I like your response to one of the comments. There's a guy who's like, well, I'm unfollowing you. And you're like, what does that accomplish? Yeah. So good job.
I saw that, yeah.
I go back and forth with the comments. Like there's like, I get definitely a lot of like mean comments sometimes, which is, some of them are funny. Some of them it's just like, like I've told the story this way 1,000 times now, but it's like, I'll be home playing with my son, my wife, and like we'll be like singing Winnie the Pooh, dancing, laughing, and like my phone goes off, and the comments like, "I hope you choke on the next chicken tender you eat." You know, it's like sweet. You know,
He's lying. He's not with his wife and children. It's just him by himself in his little adult onesie. Like,
it's just me dancing to Winnie the Pooh in my living room with dragon juice.
good stuff, though.
Yeah, but. You know, and I have to be careful because, like, part of me wants just to be like, "Hey, go fuck yourself," you know, to some of these comments. But then this is a kind of a funny story. Last year we did this big sponsored thing with AAA. AAA were they were just kind of like really corporate to like deal with, and so this year I have a salesperson working with me now, trying to get more brand deals and help us make more money. So.
Can you do something else?
Yeah. Lindsay's great. Lindsay reached out to AAA and they were like, "Hey, we loved doing the series last year. It was like traveling around part of Lake Ontario, blah, 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 blah. We'd love to do something with you again this year." And so their response was, "We can't imagine ourselves working with Anthony ever again."
They said that?
He responded to a comment. He responded to a follower who left a comment on one of his videos and said something so mean that they immediately called and canceled the AAA membership. So,
fucking Winnie the Pooh.
And so part of me, like at first I was like really embarrassed. It's like, oh, fuck, that sucks. But then, I'm like, well, what was the fucking comment that they left, and I'm also just like, I don't really fucking care.
That's so tough, though. Like, I mean, you can have a random comment that someone makes, true or not.
Yeah.
But then someone's going to be like, "Oh, you're cut off." Like, it's what's the context? Why was it? Like,
Right.
Is it someone just upset being a dick? Like we love you. Like, what if we just went today and said, "Yeah, you're a fucking dick," and then someone's going to be like, "Oh, someone called you a dick. Now we're not going to sponsor you." Like,
Right.
I don't know how that really works,
AAA is super corporate when it came to that. Like we were out on the road filming at a restaurant and I posted an Instagram story and the Instagram story was just like, "Hey guys, we're at this restaurant on the series. We're filming today. The food's good. It's right on the water. The views are great. And these cocktails, like, I just want to sit here and get hammered." And they immediately were like, "Delete that. You can't mention anything with drinking and AAA." I'm like,
nah.
Well, I wasn't stumbling in my car and like driving off, hitting a fucking stop sign saying like AAA sponsored
Not
this.
on camera.
Right. So they were just like super tight about that kind of stuff.
But it's maybe something's going to change now. I mean, there's some governmental programs changing, all these executive orders, all this bullshit. So maybe there's not. We're cognizant of people's feelings, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's a good person inherently, and then you gotta try not to be a good person. Like you're born a good person. Like your baby, you hug dogs and you like to play. Like I mean,
Right.
you become bad somewhere along the way, I suppose. But like it's just the way that the country has become. Because I don't even care about the rest of the world. Because I know there's a whole censorship thing in Europe and all these things. Like our country specifically, I don't care if you want to. Again, I don't care if you're trans or whatever. Like I don't want men in women's sports.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's just.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a daughter, so fuck it. But it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But there's just some people. They're so offended by something that's not their way that it affects a lot of people that. You're satisfying the minority for the majority.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think like, don't get me wrong. I love social media, but I think it's also like one of the worst things that's ever happened, to us as a culture is just like the ability for everyone to have a voice and reach out and also feel like their voice should be heard, I mean, I was beat up a lot by my brothers when I was a kid, and that helped me to not be a fucking idiot and stupid and unfunny. Mm-hmm. And and if I just had my brothers and my mom and I said a stupid like today's a great example. I was like with the.
You mean like right now here?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But like today, like I'm with hanging out with a friend and a client, and I'm making just a bunch of stupid jokes, and they're like, "That's not funny," and I'm like. Okay, even though it's 38-year-old, like you still have to know, like sometimes you just say dumb shit and you have to be made fun of a little bit,
Yeah.
Self-deprecating and some humor in the right context. Like you see all these, sorry to interrupt you. You see all these comedians. They say like off-color racist jokes. Dave Chappelle. Yeah. Like it's funny then,
right?
not everybody means harm when they say these things. you know?
Yeah, for sure. I just think that there is a difference between like somebody like, who's trying to get a laugh, who's not a comedian, and the comedian,
Yeah.
Like there's a really funny joke that I've heard on Kill Tony recently. If I said that in public,
Right.
because I was, unless it was this room, but if I was like on Instagram stories, listen to like, I would be a fucking, racist.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, but I mean, like I said, I love social. It does a lot of good, but it also just like, not all of us should have a voice.
And one of these guys that was going to be on here, he canceled the Steven's name. He couldn't join something, but he's got a lot of followers, hundreds, I think 150,000 on Instagram, whatever it is. He canceled for whatever reason, but the point is he put a comment on his Instagram page that people get pissed off. I'm going to unfollow you. All these things. He goes, I'm fine with anything you guys say. He goes, but just know that every time you do this, it's helping me.
Yeah.
Every time you comment and you go back and forth, like he's like, I don't fucking care, Rich.
Yeah.
Well, some people intentionally create conflict.
For sure.
Because conflict is something that. So, when was the last time?
It's more.
No, but can I get another blue light?
You can get whatever you want,
Absolutely.
buddy.
I'll grab it.
No, don't ever have to ask. You just take it. Sorry.
No, you sit down.
Sure.
No, yeah, you don't have to ask. Sorry, buddy. I didn't realize.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm going to drink this stuff because I'm a man with fucking balls.
I'm not gonna have our guests go to the refrigerator.
It's in a bad location. We should have that refrigerator right here.
Well, what would be cool in our next location?
Yeah.
Is to have a tap right
Once,
there.
Yeah, once Anthony shares his sponsors with us.
Yeah, that'll be
If Labatt wants to put a fucking tap here.
that blue light money.
So, what was I saying? Oh, when was the last time you've seen people go somewhere and be like so satisfied with service that they went and left a good comment, a good review? It doesn't happen often.
Not too often, no.
Not too often.
But you hear about the negative all the
As
time.
soon as
Yeah.
something bad happens, oh man, the bad word spreads.
Yeah,
fast.
I mean, look at where Syracuse eats. I mean,
Yeah.
the posts that get the most attention are the ones that are like, this place sucked.
Yeah.
And there was I don't think it's this way anymore, but there was a restaurant owner in downtown who instituted some stupid tipping policy. And this was like 3 years ago, because another restaurant did a stupid tipping policy and almost went out of business. But this restaurant, it was like, what was the tip? I think it was a 20% auto gratuity on any check over $50. It didn't matter if it was you by yourself or 1,000,
Yeah.
it didn't matter. And they got blown up on Where Syracuse Eats. But he was busier than he ever has been, he said. Like somebody called him and was like, hey, are you doing okay? He was like, we're raking it in right now. So many people are coming in. And it wasn't because like the community wanted to support him because they agreed with that. Like the majority of people were just shitting on him. And so I don't think that's the case with everything. Like, listen, if you send somebody like moldy cheese and it goes crazy on Where Syracuse Eats, I don't think people are going to flock to your restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some times where like it just doesn't matter. Attention is attention,
And also support. So if there's good number of people who like, all right, well, maybe the servers just need more support and maybe they don't get tipped enough, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And if like somebody wants to support it, I prepaid for my snowplower guy.
Snow
They
what?
had
Snow what?
Snowplow service.
Whatever you want it to be. I was just clarifying what you said. Yeah. Snow plowing me. Yeah.
The man who plows your snow.
I prepaid for snow plowing service. Right?
Sure.
Fuck
no,
off.
that's right. No.
Fuck off.
Snow plower is just weird.
Snow plowing service.
No, you're right.
I feel like the man who plows your snow is more accurate.
Yeah.
All right.
The guy who removes the snow
As
from
long
my
as he
driveway with
plows
a plow.
snow, not someone else. And then, so we've been having a lot of snow. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Those guys been super busy, and my wife just went out and gave him a little extra cash.
Yeah.
And the guy spent a little more time on my driveway. So there's going to be
Yeah.
Especially what we had. We had 4.5 feet of snow in fucking 8 days or something.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking snow. I mean,
Sure.
some places we crippled. Like New York City.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe that's why he had that super busy rush. People are
Yeah.
like, fuck it, we'll go, and maybe that's what they need.
Yeah.
But I feel like those rushes like that, they're temporary. They're not. But as long as it creates awareness and like, all right, hey, their food is also good. So yeah, you're going to pay that 20% on top of it.
Yeah.
But you're going to enjoy a good meal.
Yeah. I think tipping's gotten out of hand, if I'm being honest.
Oh.
I think, I mean,
You just slapped your dick, Roman.
Oh man, I was just going to say.
I mean, it's a little crazy today, I think.
Yeah.
It's I mean, but the thing is, like, the customer's going to pay for it one way or the other. Like, if and minimum wage is increasing in New York State for like tipped service workers, and it's going to be up to like 15, 16, it's going to be up to like 20. It's just going to continue to rise. It's not like it's ever going to stall out, right? And on one end of the spectrum, I'm like, listen, if you're working, like, if you're an adult in this, in our community, you should be making a certain amount of money. Like, obviously, like we all have to wrestle with the fact that like our cell phone was made in part by children in slavery in the Congo who are mining cobalt. In order for me to be able to post my fucking video telling you where the best chicken wing is, some fucking 7-year-old had to mine cobalt for a little bit.
And then an 8-year-old built it in China.
Right.
Watching
And that's
SpongeBob.
right. And that doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
But I'm also a big enough asshole that I still have the fucking iPhone and use it, So I don't think we should be okay with the fact that like there's a 40-year-old woman who's only getting like, fuck you, you're not getting 20%, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't, I served myself, that sort of a thing. Like, when it comes to tips, but if we're not paying for it on the tip side, that just means that things are going to change. We're going to pay for it.
Yeah,
on the menu side.
those raise the price of the right.
So
Because you're not gonna have workers.
right now, I'm not saying so just stop tipping. It's going to happen. They're going to get it one way or the other. But it is just a little crazy of like the expectation of I'm already spending $4 on my coffee. Do I really need to give you an extra $1 because you turned around to
But no tax on tips should help those people.
Yeah,
in the long run.
Yeah, in the long run. For
Where do you see this is going as far as your industry goes and what you're doing?
I mean, I kind of hope that more restaurants close. If I'm being honest, I think we have too many as it stands. I mean, Baldwinsville is a great community, and like not too many restaurants go out of business. Although there's been 2, in the past year, right, with cafe.
Well, not even specifically to Baldwinsville, but yeah,
right,
yeah.
But I just say like look at Baldwinsville as like a microcosm. Like Canal Side and BU both closed last year.
Yeah.
But something else is opening up now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which it honestly shouldn't be.
Yeah.
If we're being perfectly honest, like, is there enough money to go around for all of the food service businesses in Baldwinsville for the owners and the staff to make a livable wage? Or like to make good money considering what they're doing for a living? And if there were fewer restaurants, would they make maybe what they should? Or just, more
Sure.
in general?
Economics is economics.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's way too many restaurants that exist in New York State. And let's just say central New York as a whole. Way too many.
Yeah.
The barrier to entry to get into the restaurant industry is too low. It should be so much more difficult. I mean, just going back to like that story of that first restaurant owner, like you shouldn't very easily be able to go just get a loan for $100,000 to start a restaurant. There should be some sort of like an education piece that you have to go through in order to be like, okay, you deserve a loan. Or, maybe it's the loan officer or the bank who like understands the industry thoroughly that you're going into before they sign off on your loan.
And you think about it. So say you make $200,000 a year. This is your job. Your job doing whatever you're doing. I want to open a business. Well, I need a loan. Well, how much you make? $200,000. Okay, I'll give you $100,000. I quit my job.
Right.
Now you're not making $200,000. What the fuck?
Yeah. The old, joke is like the fastest way to get $1 million in the restaurant industry is start with 2, So it's not an easy industry. It's not getting any easier. There are some restaurants that like you can kind of see. I don't want to say like they're like taking advantage of the customers. There's some where it's just like, dude, why are you charging so much for food? So I don't want to say like that they're like deliberately like sitting at home like Scrooge McDuck fucking counting their gold coins and like raise the price of chicken wings, but there's definitely some places where it's like, God damn, why are you charging so? I was in Utica, a sandwich and a latte, which the latte was stupid because they're way overpriced. A sandwich and a latte today was $23 without a tip. It's like, dude, how many people are you going to be able to really convert at that much money for lunch? You know,
I just got a chicken sandwich. Like, you saw how big it was. Small chicken sandwich, a little bit of fries, $26.
crazy.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I posted the video.
Pickup. That was pickup.
Yeah.
Nuts. Yeah. I posted the video on Across the Hall Cafe, and it was like $19, and everybody's like losing their mind. Like, that's way too much for a burger. And it's like, well, you didn't see the receipt. It was like, that's a burger, fries, extra sauce, a drink, and tax and a tip. You know, so. But yeah, man, it's definitely getting. Again, I don't want to say it's getting out of hand because I can't 100% say that with every restaurant and what they're charging for food today. But it's quite expensive, you know, and like people's incomes and the people that are the customers hasn't gone up at the same level that food prices and have increased in these restaurants.
I'm waiting for a sales tax increase.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's happened. I mean, it didn't happen for a long time.
Yeah.
And then it happened. Then it like happened again in a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah.
I think we're in that relatively short amount of time frame again.
Well, like the money that the governor was saying that they were going to be able to, that they were going to use in order to pay for the tuition. And there was some other, I can't remember off the top of my head what that other program was, but she was saying, maybe it was a rebate or no, maybe it was a child tax credit in New York State. Anyways, whatever it was, she was saying that they were going to fund that by the increased amount of money they've collected from sales tax from all of the surplus from post-COVID, you know? So,
Amazing.
you know, it's like, okay, cool, you know, money back, I guess. But
I don't understand the finances. I mean, like they're closing down this Roosevelt Hotel now.
Yeah.
That they've had. I can't remember the number. It's like
with the migrants.
Yeah, like a $220 million contract they had in a 4-star hotel to house migrants as a sanctuary. So like, I don't understand where this trade-off happens and how this sort of all balances everything. But like,
like a lot of spending with not enough return or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's not balanced.
Yeah. I mean, my wife, you know, I'm a small business owner, obviously. So, you know, I just started paying myself a little bit more this year. This past year was like the first year that like we were in the like all year long. You know, usually like January, February is like, oh shit, what am I going to do? This year it wasn't that case. So that was cool for the first time. But I started paying myself a little bit more, but still not a lot of money. And my wife makes a good amount of money for the state, but it's just like we have less money every month because everything is going up.
right.
Yeah.
Daycare, big increases every year.
I just got a text today from my dog groomer. They're like, our price has gone up. I'm like, fuck.
It's crazy. And I haven't raised my prices on on a client. Like the Market Diner is still paying the same amount that they were, you know, 10 years ago. You know, so yeah, it's crazy. It's wild out there for sure. But there are businesses like mine, like, you know, social media management. I mean, like I can charge a little bit more. Actually, I can't. I charge the same amount for a new client today that I would have 3 years ago.
But you are a portfolio. You have 3 or 4 different avenues, revenue streams. You know, so you can.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Well, right. You know, on some piece, but like you can maybe decrease one, increase another at some point. You know,
one feeds the other, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it is. You know, it's wide. It's not deep. So,
that's Roman.
Yeah.
I was trying to beat you to it.
Yeah. Well, my cousin who was in the Marine Corps, his drill instructor told him, Burkhart, I couldn't touch the end of a sardine can, but I could push the sides out of a Pringles can.
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of different things, and I think it's not like out of like super intention of like trying to create all these different revenue streams. It's just like, you know, it's like sort of just being able to follow the money, so to speak.
But it's safe to do it, and it's not. There's nothing derogatory, or you know, there's nothing negative about it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's just like, it is just, I feel like it's trying to be a jack of all trades and then being able to step in with whatever's like people need at the time. You know, I've had the podcast studio for the last, you know, I don't know, 8 months, and I've had one client, and then bam, all of a sudden I've got 3 clients. And, you know, now it's like, oh shit, I need to spend like on Monday all day long. I was just producing podcasts for people. And it's like, all right, I've got to sacrifice time I spend over here, but this money's coming in over here. So,
and you mentioned, you know, a few minutes ago about the new podcast you have.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
Yeah.
what was that about? You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So Mayo and Fry Bread podcast.
Who's Fry Bread? You?
No, Joel is. Joel's native. So
Okay.
Fry bread is a native dish, and Joel's native. And
Why are you Mayo?
I'm white. I don't fucking know. Italian sausage and fry bread didn't sound as catchy as Mayo and fry bread. I don't fucking know. Yeah. So Joel, is the owner of 317 at Montgomery Street. We've been friends for a few years. Joel was actually coming on the road with me at one point and like filming with me and just, fun to have on the road. And so, and then he was in the restaurant more, so I had to take a step back. I reached out, I was like, I've got an idea for a podcast. I really, the only idea for the podcast is like just sit down and make each other laugh and try and clip it out. The whole point of the podcast isn't really like the 20-minute episode. The whole point is we go into each episode with, here's our topic, and here's 3 or 4 things that we can say to make clips out of it to try and make money off TikTok. So that's the whole point of the show.
Yeah, see, we're not on TikTok for, deliberately.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm okay if Jing Pal, whatever the fuck his name is, wants to look at my shit. I'm fine. They listen to it anyways,
Well, we may now, depending on what sort of sale there is, or
Yeah, that's true. I mean, TikTok is just like it's a wild platform, and the fact that like once you're monetized, which is 10,000 followers, you get paid for views. Yeah. And I don't make a lot off of it, but I make like maybe $800 or $900 a month. Yeah. Just posting normal content. But there's this guy out of California. He's a school bus driver, is his day job, and he will post these like videos that are 2 minutes long, and it's like he does a lot of field trips for the schools, and so like he'll drive the kids to like wherever they are, they go and do their thing for the field trip, and then so he's got like a 3 or 4 hour break while he's waiting to take them back to the school. So he'll post these videos like, come on a 3-hour lunch break with me. So then, and he's wearing like, it's not a great quality video. He's wearing like meta glasses. He'll go up. He's a skinny dude, but he eats a lot of food. And so he'll go up and order like chicken wings and a cheeseburger. And then it's just him point of view ordering the food. And then he puts the camera, like his cell phone in front of him while he's eating it. Doesn't review it. Doesn't say it's delicious or it's bad or anything. He just like eats all of it. And then he's done. And in the last,
he's got a poop or something.
within like under a year, he's jumped to 500,000. I started following him a month ago at 300,000. He's at 500,000 subscribers today, or followers today, and he's making $10,000 a month on TikTok.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Just from views, just good the amount of people watching the video.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that sort of an economy is pretty wild. I don't think that's sustainable. I don't see where all that money is coming from, but it's pretty wild to think that I'm sure a big part of it, like the TikTok shop, is just wild. Like that's the future of social media. It's just like,
What's a TikTok shop?
It's basically like, have you ever seen like the Amazon Live that they do on like Black Friday where they have like a spokesperson, like it's like QVC basically.
Buy this shit, yeah.
Yeah, so TikTok shop is like similar to like Temu in terms of not as like shitty products, but it's all imported from like overseas manufacturing. There's some loophole where like they send all of their shipments are under like $800, so they avoid
the like fucking all that tariffs wouldn't apply to it. It's all this bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
But anybody can create a TikTok account and then become TikTok shop affiliated. So what that means is like I could go on TikTok and make a video about this glass. Okay.
Please do.
And you could, and I could be like, look how lifelike they fucking are. That's dragon juice. That's not beer. It's like staring in the goddamn mirror. Right?
What they say earlier is like, dude, it's in a fucking thermos.
Right. That's what dragon juice makes you think you look like if you drink enough of it.
Yeah.
You don't have beer goggles, you have dragon juice goggles.
This is what podcasting does. You start out looking like this, and then you eventually look like
It's just back to reality.
Right. But I can go on and make a video and tell you all the reasons why you should buy this glass. It's, it's non-breakable. Right. It makes beer taste, whatever the fuck it is. Mm-hmm. I've got a link in my video for you to click and buy that. And if you buy that from my video, I make a commission.
Mm. So like an affiliate.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, a lot of these companies also will send you the free samples. Like you'll get the one-off product to make the video about it. And so, now people just have these toxic products that are manufactured in fucking China. And like you'll see the trend. So like there's like the treadmills that you're like the desk treadmills, like that was a trend. It still is. But like a month ago on TikTok, every fucking video was some dumbass in Kansas, or actually my fucking cousin in middle of fuck Ohio is doing it too. And he's just like on this treadmill, fucking, you should buy it, and I was laughing because like half the people are out of breath, and so
you get this defibrillator for free,
right? But people are making like significant income, So I mean, some people are probably making equal to or more than their 9-to-5 job, just from posting videos on TikTok, whether it's shop, whether you're doing TikTok live or just trying to get paid off views. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Interesting. And like where's the money coming from?
No fucking clue.
Yeah.
No fucking clue.
That's weird. And why is TikTok why is Instagram so behind from TikTok?
I don't know.
It's not fucking China. That's why.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a similar platform.
It's a similar platform. If you're big, if you're really big, you can get paid. If you get like a video that really pops off, you can get paid from like Facebook and Instagram, but those videos really have to take off. Facebook's a little different, but and like YouTube is the other big, monetized platform. Like if you're monetized on YouTube, I mean, if you like a million view video on TikTok could pay $1,000. There's a lot of different things that go into it, but maybe $1,000.
But you still need 10,000 followers or what the fuck it is, right?
Yeah, which really isn't that hard.
Is it followers or the views?
To get monetized, it's followers, and then you get paid off views.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
So CPM, RPM, it's basically per 1,000 views. It has to be a qualified view. The video has to be over a minute long, and it has to be good quality and original content on TikTok. So, and then it just, can pop off. Like I've got this restaurant, this pizza shop in Rochester. They make a double layered pizza. They take a large pizza and then top it with a medium pizza.
Boy,
yeah,
they must come with a cholesterol pill,
dude. One of them's 8 pounds.
Wow,
it's the Brooklyn Bomber. It's sausage, pepperoni.
It's a fucking great idea, really. Though.
Yeah, and it's $50, and that video made me like $180 just from the views on TikTok. And so what I've kind of learned is like when I pose, like I just edit that in a way where it's like if you like it's the hooks. It's like if you have a good hook. You can get people to like keep their attention longer in your video.
But that's like a fucking calzone or something, whatever.
Yeah, really.
$50 is not. I mean, you're gonna feed 4 or 5 with that. Maybe,
easily.
Maybe
dude.
one.
A slice is enough.
I'm fucking 2 tomahawk steaks.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
like a pizza cake.
I mean, that's my name. Like Frankie 2 tomahawks.
Yeah, that's a good name. That guy looks like Frankie. But yes, so if you figure that shit out, you can make significant money doing it. It's crazy. If I ran around and just did every day posting a video, I'm in this city, here's the 5 places I'm eating at. I'm in this city, here's the 5 places I'm eating at. I can make a shit ton of money on TikTok. So
that's the time you got to commit.
Yeah.
Go out there. You have a family.
Yeah, for sure. All those things. To prevent me from reaching my dreams.
Anthony.
until Labatt shows up.
Yes. Come on, Labatt. Anything you want to plug, add?
I don't think so.
Mention?
Man. I think we mentioned it all.
Yeah.
Said it all.
8 Local New York. Check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, so we did mention it all, but I believe we probably have another fucking 4 hours in us.
Yeah. Easily.
Not tonight, but
Yeah. Let's save it.
We certainly appreciate you.
We also can do on location too. We have all the shit mobile too.
That's
so
awesome.
we have like a studio version and we have a mobile version with lights and everything. So if you ever want to be like, hey guys, want to meet up at this location, let's shoot an episode, let's do it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
For sure.
But we thank you again for coming here, and I know that you know, we the original plan, you know, was to hopefully get you in here as a first episode.
Oh, nice.
When we moved to the new studio, but things happened, so that didn't work. But
happens.
But thank you for being here now, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, for
Dedicating time, from your family and coming here. Hopefully, you had a good time. Have fun.
I had a great time. It was this or put my son to sleep tonight. So you got no.
Give him some dragon juice. He'll go to sleep with that.
Now you go home and your wife is going to put you to sleep.
All right.
So thank you, Anthony. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.